Welcome to season one, episode one of Go Deep. Today I'll be interviewing T Baby. T Baby is a TikTok live show host and content creator. So I'll bring her up so you guys can learn a little bit more about T Baby. Welcome in, T Baby.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I am great. How are you?
Doing well. So for some reason you're not moving. You're like you're frozen or something. It's like you're I don't know
It's like
what's
I think it's a lag. I don't know what that is.
okay. Okay. All right. So the main thing is they can. It's a podcast, so I guess for the most part, as long as they're able to hear you, that's the most important part. Let me make sure
Okay.
nothing else I can do to change that or anything. What would be the reason that? Oops. Okay. All right. So can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, on TikTok, I go by T Baby or Forever T Baby. I am a 47-year-old divorced mother of two amazing daughters, one aged 28, the other aged 16. Um, I have been through a lot of different things in my lifetime. I did some volunteer work as a victim impact speaker in the California prison system, where I would go into different prisons around California and speak to the men in blue, because in California they wear blue, and speak to them about how crimes can impact their victims and their survivors.
Okay, awesome. So, of course, I've known you for several months on TikTok Live. I think we
Yeah.
ran across you maybe almost a year ago now. This summer will probably make a year.
Yeah. Uh
And
huh.
and so you were on my live stream recently, and the topic was forgiveness, and you said some really, you know, very important things related to forgiveness. So that's why I decided that I wanted to discuss that with you on today. So can you tell me what your definition of forgiveness is?
Oh, so preparing for this, once I knew that it was on forgiveness, I had to take a deep breath, because sometimes forgiveness can be a touchy subject. So for me, forgiveness is, um, for lack of better terms, letting the person off the hook. So it means like I'm not going to continue to bring up the offense, but forgiveness also for me means that me saying, okay, like bygones be bygones, I also don't have to welcome you back into my life. So forgiveness for me doesn't mean that you continue to have access to me.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I can say you've committed this offense against me. I recognize that you did that. I have to sit and process my emotions and feelings, and me coming to a mutual agreement of saying, okay, you did this. I didn't like that. I forgive you. Now let's move on. And sometimes moving on doesn't mean that that person still has a part in my life. Sometimes that chapter ends for that person with me. Yeah.
Okay. And looking back, and I know you said you had some life experiences. What would you say was the thing that was the most difficult for you to forgive someone for?
Ooh. So I am a victim of domestic violence and sexual assault. I would say by far those were the hardest to forgive the other person. Um, and I would say the sexual assaults more than the domestic violence, because I would feel like bruises and wounds heal, but the trauma that was left from sexual abuse far outweighed anything that I could have ever imagined. So those would be, if I had to sum it up in totality, it would be those two.
And was that something the sexual assault was that something that occurred as a young person or as an adult?
Both.
Okay.
So as a as a child, um, like an elementary school child. And then I was drugged in high school by a friend of who I thought was a friend of mine, a female friend. Um, and then I was assaulted by two boys at school. And then as an adult, a male friend of mine had no idea that he was into drugs or anything. Um, and he had lost someone in his family. I believe it was his grandmother, what he said. And he just needed to talk. And then that turned into a sexual assault. So,
Okay. I'm gonna
yeah.
make a slight adjustment. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
All right. So, what was your method of? I know one of the things you talked about during the live stream was letter writing. And
Mhm.
so, for the incidents that you just mentioned, what was your method of forgiving these people?
So I went to therapy for a lot of years. Um, I have a really good support network. And then I was introduced to journaling. Um, and I guard my journals like my children.
Okay.
So I would write everything down. I would get it all out. And then some of them I keep because it's a reflection. So I can reflect back and kind of, it gives me a measure of how far I've grown. And then some of them I would take them, shred them, rip them up. I have burned letters, started my fireplace and burned letters as a means of letting it go. I had a woman one time tell me to write a letter, rip it all up into as small of pieces as I could. And she told me to take a drive in the opposite direction of my house and scatter it,
Oh,
literally just scatter the pages. And I've done that before. I believe in, taking holistic type baths. Um, but by far, journaling has kept my mind where it is. So,
okay. Now, in terms of forgiveness and relationships, what are some of the things you've had to do to forgive either uh, ex spouses or partners?
so I did this recently, um, and I'm divorced, and I didn't have the best marriage. No physical violence, nothing like that. But there was a lot of infidelity on my ex-husband's on his part. Um, but I had to realize that at times I wasn't the nicest wife. Um, I'm a daddy girl, and so what I would do is instead of there being another man in my life, it was just my dad. So what my ex-husband couldn't do, I was like, "Don't worry about it. I don't even need you to do that. Let me call my dad. My dad's got this. Oh, you can't. You're not going to do that. My dad will do it." And I put him in competition with my dad because I am a daddy's girl. And so what I did was I sent him a text message. I sent him a text message and owned my part because I never owned my part. It was just like, you ruined our marriage. So I sent him a text message and I said, I apologize for the role and the part that I played in the demise of our marriage. And I ask you for forgiveness. And even if you choose not to forgive me, I can understand that. But I want to let you know that I forgive you for what you did. Bygones, let's just move forward. And he responded back, and I think he was pretty shocked because I was not one to apologize. Um, so I needed to do that because I felt like it was time. and I didn't want to hold the grudge anymore. Well, it'll be 9 years in April that we've been divorced. I didn't want to take that anger and resentment for a lifetime and carry it. So I sent him a text message and apologized.
Wow. And how did you feel when you did that?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, and I didn't type it out in a text message. So I got to be clear on that. I sent him a voice note.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So I sent him a message first that said, I'm going to send you another message. So I want you to listen to it in its entirety. There's some stuff that I want to say. And then I ended that one. And then I went into the next one and I left him a voice note. And I felt like, when you carry a heavy bag and you've carried it for a long time and you put it down, it almost feels like that arm is in a free float because you don't realize that your posture has been off. It feels
Right.
like that arm just kind of floats itself back up. I had that type of feeling. I felt really, really good. Um, but God has been doing that to me, where there have been situations where I've held a grudge, like wholeheartedly. I've been mad. I got a grudge. Um, God has been kind of turning me around and saying, okay, let's that you don't have to have that person in your life. Not that you have to be besties, um, but make amends because of what God is doing in my life right now in this season. So,
So tell us about what God is doing right now in your life in this season.
my gosh. So I had a couple months ago, I had a period of time where I was just like, I was tired. I would get up in the morning and I was tired. I would get to work. I'm tired. I'm just tired all day. And I felt like, what is going on with me? But I kept sticking to my routine. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get on TikTok. I'm going to go online. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to joke. And sometimes I'd be falling asleep on a live because I just couldn't keep my eyes open. So I come home one day and I'm on a live and everybody's like, you look so tired. Like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't keep my eyes open. So I go to sleep and I had the best sleep. So during this time, um, I said I had an all night slumber party with God. So
Oh,
like it was like he walked with me, took me through different stages of my life. And I woke up with a better understanding of I'm here on an assignment. And the grudges and the anger that I had towards certain people were because I wasn't clear on my boundaries. I didn't know how to set boundaries. And so I had to make amends in some places. And in some things, I had to set hard lined boundaries. Um, and so God has just been growing me in my faith. He's been aligning me with different people that help to encourage me and that I can also encourage. Um, it's just been beautiful. It's so hard to kind of sum it all up and explain it, but he's growing me. I've been in this pruning process where he's cutting things off and taking things out of my life, but whatever he removes, he replaces it with something better. And so I am enjoying this side of the journey.
how
Yeah.
long has this been going on?
Whew. It's been at least two between 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it started with me being in one space. I would say maybe October it started. I was in one space, and then God started to have me look at the circles that I was in. And I was like, nah, I'm not leaving this circle. I'm staying here. And then as time progressed, God was like, move. And I would move. And then it was like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? Like, God, what are you doing? And he was like, nope, got to trust me. And then something else, I'd be in another space that God would say, move. And I would move again. And I'm like, so I had people messaging me like, where are you? We don't even see you anymore. And it was like, we say on TikTok, you have to change your algorithm. And it was like God was doing that to me in real time. And it was, for a while there, it was messing me up. But anytime he would need to tell me something, he would put me to sleep. And I would have this amazing rest. But during my sleep, I would be getting fed information. And it was like he was doing this heart repair in me while I was sleeping. And I would wake up and I wouldn't feel like I did the day before.
So if someone said to you, forgiveness is a sign of weakness, what would be your response?
Oh, I would tell them that they haven't experienced true forgiveness. Because for me, in just where God has asking me to forgive, because he can't make you. He can't make me say, can't make me do anything. So he's been giving me those nudges to say, I need you to mend this over here. It has made me the strongest I feel like I've ever been, because the forgiveness part of things has allowed me to set boundaries. Um, this year, I didn't do Christmas with family. And that was like, you're not, like, what are you doing? And I was like, no, I'm not, because there are some things that happen in families, and sometimes we turn blind eyes to it. So I made a decision this year that I was going to stand my ground, and I wasn't going. And I had the best Christmas. I had the
Wow.
best Christmas. I had the
So
best Thanksgiving. I
what
didn't
did
do
you
any holiday, family holiday events. It was me and my youngest daughter. We did Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. We did all of that together.
uh,
Um, and it was amazing. So, yeah, no, forgiveness isn't a weakness.
what if someone tells you that, they've experienced something in life and they feel like it's impossible to forgive that person?
I would say that I would say what my dad says to me. My dad says, you're not in concrete. You're not in concrete. You're free to move. So if it's an obstacle in your life, and the way out of whatever that obstacle is forgiveness, then offer the forgiveness, because the forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. The forgiveness is for you. Um, Forgiveness unlocks so many doors that a grudge cannot. We age faster when we're angry and mad and bitter. And I wanted to have that Benjamin Button. I wanted to age in reverse, where it was like, oh my gosh, how old are you? Because eh, the grudges that I was holding, they were eating me from the inside out.
Oh, wow.
So it's not impossible to forgive a person. Take the M, the I am, the whatever out of impossible and turn it into a possibility, because the possibilities are endless when you choose to forgive. They're endless. Yeah.
So if someone has a person that they know that they need to forgive, how would you tell them to go about doing that?
I say what I said on the live. Um, if you can't talk to the person, write them a letter. Um, put everything that you want to say to them down on paper. You may not even ever send the letter, but get out the emotion, get that energy out and write it down. And then, you know, rip it up, shred it, burn it, whatever you need to do, but get the words out. Because some people, you can't physically ever go to them face to face and say, hey, hi, just want to let you know I forgive you for what you did to me in, you know, 1987, whatever it is. Some people are no longer living.
Right.
Um, some people you've lost touch with. You don't know where they are. Maybe their name has changed. It's a lot of different things. And sometimes people can offend you and hurt you and they move on with their life, and you go to tell them, hey, I want to forgive you for what you did in this time. And they're like, what are you talking about? I don't even remember that.
Mm.
So I would say write it down. I was on Facebook, and one of the guys that assaulted me in high school had sent me a friend request.
Oh my God.
He sent me a friend request and sent me a message and said, hey, yeah, like, how are you doing? And I thought, this can't be real. And it triggered me so bad that I was like, I started crying. I was so nervous. And I sat for a minute and God said, no, write it down. So I sent him a message and said, it appears that you have forgotten what you did to 15-year-old me. So let me bring it back to your memory. And I typed out everything that they did to me and
Mm.
typed it all out. And I said, I would appreciate it if you no longer contact me. I forgive you. Move on with your life. Take care. God bless. So he
Mm.
sent me back a message wanting to argue. And
What?
I said, it's not, yeah, I said, it's not up for debate or discussion. You have to live with what you did. I forgive you. I no longer have a part in this. You have to answer to a higher power when it's time. I suggest you make peace with it. And then I blocked it. But some people, their brain is like, man, I did what? Yeah, that's what you did. So write it down. Don't let that anger or that unforgiveness derail you and keep you from growing. So that's what I would tell them. It's nothing to forgive, but it's not for them, it's for you. It absolutely benefits and blesses you in the long run.
Well, T Baby, I want to thank you for agreeing to be my first guest on the Go Deep podcast. I really appreciate you. And I look forward to running into you in these social media streets because we don't know when going
Absolutely.
on TikTok, but definitely on these social media streets.
Yes. But thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I hope that, this, your podcast, that it grows in abundance, that it reaches the audience that it is meant to reach, that it provides healing, hope, growth, for all those that listen. And I just wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.